Rizal in Belgium on January 18, 1890. This is the story of Rizal when he was in Belgium. When Rizal was living in the Paris, he was not satisfied and the difficulties with the two reasons. That is, the cost of living in the Paris with very expensive and the gay social life of the city hampered his literary works, especially the writing of his second novel, El Filibusterismo. Thus Rizal left Paris to stay in Brussels, capital of Belgium. Life in Brussels. As life in Brussels, Rizal was accompanied by Jose Albert, and they lived in a modest boarding house on the 38th Rue Philippe Champagne, which was run by two husband sisters, Suzanne and Marie. Later, Jose Albert left the city and was replaced by Jose Alejandro, an engineering student. Rizal continued writing his second novel, which was The Nolly, and when he's busy, he never stopped to try procrastinate his work. And as being physician, he spent part of his time in medical clinic. For recreation, he had gymnastic and gymnasium and target practice of fencing and armory. And aside from writing its chapter, he wrote letters to his family and friends and article for the La Solidaridad. The new orthography of Tagalog language. Rizal loved his native language, which is Tagalog, in spite of having a knowledge of other foreign languages. Thus he was the first to advocate Philippinization of its orthography. Instead of the Spanish C and O, the Tagalog letters K and W should be used. On April 15, 1890, his article entitled Sobre la Nueva Ortografía de la Lengua Tagala, The New Orthography of the Tagalog Languages, was published in La Solidaridad, which he laid down the rules of New Tagalog orthography and by giving the credit of Dr. Trinidad H. Padro de Talavera, that got his innovation for the adoption of his new orthography. Rizal criticized the Madrid of Filipino for gambling. Juan Luna and Valentin Ventura, the same countrymen in Rizal, sent him news about Filipinos in Spain, were destroyed the good name of their nation by gambling too much. Rizal then wrote a letter addressed to Marcelo H. del Pilar to remind the Filipinos in Madrid that they didn't come to Europe to gamble, but to work for their independence. When Filipino gamblers heard the Rizal was moralizing them, they got enraged and decisively called him Papa or Pope instead of Pepe. Bad news from home. While continuing his work from Brussels, Rizal began to worry and he received a letter from his home as the Calamba agrarian arrest was getting worse. According to the letter, Don Francisco objected to the landlords in the management of Dominican Republic raising the unreasonable rent. The Dominican order filed a lawsuit in court to dispose the Rizal's family, their land in Calamba. His brothers Faciano and their brother-in-law in Antonio Lopez a Silvestre Ubaldo will deport to Mindoro, and another brother-in-law, Manuel T. Hidalgo, was banished for a second time to Bohol, resulting Rizal's in depression by the inflict news from home. Presentiment of death. Rizal had awful dreams during the evening in Brussels while he was restless because he was always thinking about his poor family in Calamba. He was not superstitious, but he was afraid he would not live long. He wasn't terrified of death, but he wanted to finish his second novel before his death. He started to his letter that Laong Laan is his real name, which means everyday. Preparation to go home. Rizal intended to return home in the face of his family misfortune. He couldn't stay in Brussels writing a book when his parent, family, and friend were being tormented into the faraway in the Philippines. All of his friends were horrified by Rizal's plan to return to the Philippines. They warned him to the danger that awaited him at home. Decision to go to Madrid. Rizal rejected his friend's serious warnings, since no amount of dangers could upset his purpose. However, something happened that caused him to reconsider. It was a letter from Pasiano stating that they had a lawsuit against the Dominican Manila, but had appealed to the Supreme Court in Spain. Thus, a lawyer was required to handle in Madrid. As a result, Rizal wrote to Marcelo H. Del Pilar on June 20, 1890, employing the letter as a lawyer. He also notified Del Pilar that he was traveling to Madrid to monitor the case. In other letter to Ponce, dated on July 29, 1890, Rizal stated that he would leave Brussels in the beginning of the next month and arrive Madrid on 3rd or 4th on August. To my muse at 1890. Ami is my muse. Ami was written by him against sin of mental pain in Brussels. During those sorrowful days, when he was worried about family disaster, this poem lack of beauty of to the flowers of Heidelberg and the less polished than to the Filipino youth. Yes, it's full of emotion. Romance of Petit Jacobi. As he prepared for his journey to Madrid, two items offered some cheer to the sad Rizal. The first was Belgium's Summer Festival, and the second was his affair with Petit Jacobi. His landlady's lovely nice. Petit Zuzane was drawn to Rizal because he was nice and respectable gentleman. He felt lonely in an unfamiliar land, and Leonor Rivera was a long distance away. Naturally, like a typical young guy, he found happiness in the company of lovely Belgian lady. He may have flirted with Petite Suzanne, but he would never enter into a deceitful amorous connection with her. Suzanne, like other ladies, fell in love with Rizal. She grieved as he went for Madrid at the end of July 1890. Visiting in Paris for a few days, Suzanne could not forget Rizal, even though he was far away in Madrid.